Oh my gosh, this is more expensive than I thought. You buy a lot of stuff with that. I don't know. I don't know if I want to spend that much money.
Wonder if I can find last year's iPhone on eBay. I don't know how good they are at refurbishing, but it is cheaper that way. I don't really need all those features of the iPhone 11 Pro.
Hi friends, today we're going to visit about having an abundance mindset and how that adds value into your relationship, how it makes you more lovable and able to receive and give love when you have that self-worth and care and generous spirit with yourself. We're Rebecca and Brad, partners in love and friends first. We've been married for 18 years and we're deciding to break things up.
Join us for some honest conversations about being real in the small and big moments of life so we can all create great relationships together. Okay, so today we wanted to share about, like she said, having an abundance mindset and really valuing yourself, and how when you do that and you step forward in, or when I've done that and step forward in, sort of my innocence of really valuing myself, that actually makes me more open and more of who I, more of a real person, because I'm really honoring myself, and that actually then makes me more open and real with her. It makes me more lovable, and vice versa there too. So I don't know, a few months ago, my cell phone was breaking down and I was realizing it was time for me to replace it. And so I went online and I started searching. I decided I wanted to get an iPhone. And so, like I had done pretty much every other time I had bought a cell phone in my adult life, I started looking at, like last year's model, factory refurbished, because, you can get like a good deal on that, rather than paying the $1,000 for the newest iPhone. You can get like last year's model, which is, almost as good for a couple $100 less. And so I'm starting to look there, then I'm going to eBay and seeing ones people have refurbished themselves and kind of going through that whole thing. And then I'm like, this is like crazy. Like, why am I always looking for like the secondhand model? Let me just see what the new ones cost, because, I do a lot with the video and the photos and things like that. I use my phone a lot. I actually use it more than my computer in a lot of cases. So I decided to look at what they had. And then I got to the Apple website and they have like the Pro and the not Pro. And so I started looking at, okay, well, can I cut this corner and get the regular and the not Pro? Like, how different is it? And then it sort of dawned on me, like, you know what? All this time I've been, like thinking and devaluing my own needs and wants, because like to save a few bucks here, save a few bucks there. And the truth is what I'd realize is that, I could afford those few extra $100 to get the best phone. And I didn't need to sort of like justify it with some weird checklist of like, well, if I can say this and use it for that, then it's okay to get it. And in that, internal dialogue, like, of, well, is it worth it? Can I afford to do this? I'm thinking, what will Rebecca think? Like, if I spend this much money on a phone, because she doesn't spend that much money on her things. And, what about like the kids and our bills? And though I did do the math of it, and it made sense, like it was affordable. Like, it wasn't going to put us like where we couldn't eat, or, couldn't pay for some bill or something like that. But still, I had all these trepidations of like, oh, is it going to be okay? And then, I had this moment of sort of a clear thinking mind of it, and, realizing like, hey, I've been doing a lot, all this, changing, making progress in life, doing, my business is doing better. That's why we could afford it. I deserve to give myself this gift of really buying the best phone that I could. And so that's what I did. I ended up buying the best phone. Good choice. Totally happy with it. And in that, I've thought about it a couple of times because I've had it for a few months. And really, in use, if I had last year's model, I don't know if I would really notice a difference. Like, I don't really know if functionally it's that, like in my day-to-day life, it really makes that much difference. But what I do know is that for many weeks, every time I picked up my phone and looked at it and had that thought, I was like, I had like a good feeling. Like it was building of myself, my memory of my own self-value and my own self-worth, because I, valued myself to say I could do this for myself and buy this phone. And so, in that, like, I was identifying and really witnessing myself as someone valuable and worthwhile. And when I do that, it makes me more available and more of a real person, in my relationship as well. Because then actually what ends up happening, or what ended up happening with me, and in this case, it was like a really quick, perfect example, because I was like, Rebecca's doing a lot with video now and stuff and photos, and I should buy her one of these too. And so I did that, and it was, but had I bought myself the secondhand model, the lesser model, I wouldn't have even been in the mindset of buying her a phone at all, because she had one that was working fine, and she also does a lot of she works with people giving birth, so there's like a lot of low light photography to do in video, and the phones we ended up getting are like really good at that. And so, that's where I was thinking, like, oh, this is something that would be really nice for her to use too. And so it naturally and automatically shifted me into a much more generous mindset.
And I get to be in the celebration of, for one, having a really functional, beautiful phone, and for two, seeing him with a great phone, and enjoying his phone, and enjoying sort of the wellspring of happiness and enough attitude that came from his decisions. And I think that's really powerful, because we're so much relationally going off of the equations and our decisions, and the equations we have hooked up with those decisions. And it was just like a sweet gift all the way around. I have a similar type story, which I shared some of in another video, of doing permanent makeup. And as a woman, I grew up thinking it wasn't appropriate to spend too much money on myself. I never saw my mom spending money on herself. If it was like a shirt or something. Whereas my dad could go buy new toys for himself, and they could be quite expensive toys, and that was perfectly accepted and fine. So I've had to have the practice of saying I can spend money on myself, or I'm worth it. And so in this case, I've been wanting permanent makeup for a long time. I looked at the prices, and before COVID actually, and I'm like, oh my goodness, this is quite expensive. I don't know, I could buy a lot of groceries for this, or we could save some money, and instead of staying with that sort of poverty mentality, I was able to say, look, this is going to support my change, and I'm worth it, and I know he's going to enjoy it too, and so let's do the celebration of that. And so glad I did. I enjoy it every single time I look at my face, and that sort of confidence from that act of care and love of myself, I know he feels it when he looks at my face also.
Yeah.
So that's been fun.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a good example too, because you taking the steps and really valuing yourself and loving yourself, because, well, let me say it this way.
Yeah.
When you were like wondering about whether you could afford it or not, just the same as me, it's like, where we think about the other person, like, oh, what are they going to think? Is that too much money? Right. And the truth of it is that you taking those steps and really celebrating yourself in that way. It's like, I think it's great how your makeup, like, accentuates your beauty and all those things. I mean, that too, but aside from that, or in addition to that, like seeing that in you, like makes me like celebrate you more, because you took that space to celebrate yourself. It's like you loving yourself made you more lovable to me, like because of that in and of itself.
Right.
And it's like such a funny thing that we would stop ourselves sometimes thinking like the other person is going to think bad about us, or like that we did too much, or we were selfish, or all these thoughts. Greedy. But the truth is that you really celebrating you like made me want to like join in that celebrating of you, and so it's a reminder me too of like your value, because you're identifying it. You know, it's really cool how that works.
Totally. Hey, do you guys relate? I think so many of us grew up with sort of the poverty mentality, and I'm just curious, do you have similar stories, or do you understand this, and have you seen this in practice in your own life? If you have, please comment below. Definitely like and subscribe. We're going to keep sharing more real life stories about how we can bloom our relationships and have more fun together and experience the freedom of growing our lives in ways that really work.
Yeah, I'd love to hear examples if just put in the comments of places where you've taken those steps to value yourself, and like what's grown out of that. So that'd be really cool to share with you guys, and have that back and forth sharing about that. So make sure you subscribe, like, hit the bell notifications.
Yeah, and thanks for watching.
All right, you guys take care.
Bye.